What's up, my friends? I also want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, as this is the last episode of Variant before Christmas. We hope you have a wonderful time with your family and friends, and may you get and give all the geeky, nerdy things your heart desires. I know I'm hoping for a Batman Who Laughs statue, and man, do I really hope that happens. Anyway, let's get into my spoiler-free thoughts of Aquaman. Now, it's no secret that the DC Extended Universe has had its share of problems, and being the massive DC fan that I am, as Batman is the character that got me into comic books in the first place, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who wants to love these movies more than me. But thus far, I think the DCEU as a whole has just been okay. They still have a lot of stuff they still need to figure out. I liked Man of Steel, but how Superman dealt with things, especially at the end of the movie, was questionable. BVS had a lot of cool scenes, but overall I thought was a mess. Suicide Squad I enjoyed, but again had several issues. Wonder Woman was fantastic, I don't really have many complaints about that one, and I think is easily their shining light. Justice League I initially liked, but after multiple viewings I was like, yeah, that was just the die-hard DC fan in me trying to look at all the positives, but in actuality, it was a mess. Again, it has several cool moments die-hard DC fans could appreciate and geek out about, but as a cohesive movie, not their best. So with saying all that, again, no one wants to love these movies more than me. I mean, I'm sure there is, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. With that being the case, it makes me really sad because DC hands down has some of the best characters in the comic game, and I want to love every single last movie they do. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case thus far. But with that rant or vent session out of the way, that brings us to their 6th and newest installment into the DC Extended Universe, James Wan's Aquaman, starring Jason Momoa and the lovely Amber Heard. First off, I thought this movie was a lot of fun, but does it have its problems? For sure. So let's talk about some of the things that bothered me. There's a lot of weird tone and transitional shifts that just felt off-putting. Like it would go from this cool action scene or a part where they're telling you something very important to the story to all of a sudden playing Pitbull and turning into a borderline rom-com. And I have nothing against romantic comedies. I actually enjoy watching them with my wife. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. It just felt out of place and abrupt. So there were several times that tones and transitions were a bit odd, and I think that's really what bothered me the most. Also, a lot of the dialogue was super cheesy and 80s action movie-esque. But I don't even know if that's a full complaint for me, because I also think that's part of the movie's charm. Like cheesy and knowing that it's cheesy. I love that they played that up, and I guess what I'm trying to say is there were still some moments that were a little cringy. Like not even necessarily just dialogue. Like there was a few parts, one in particular, where they did a close-up on Black Manta's face without his helmet on, and it was supposed to be a super cool moment with him like mean mugging to the camera, but it wasn't. So basically certain tones, transitions, and cheesy moments are my biggest complaints. But remember, I still thought this movie was fun, so there's lots of things I loved about the movie as well. Jason Momoa, I think, is an awesome Aquaman. He is such a badass, and anytime he fights with a trident, it's the coolest thing ever. Like the end boss fight with him and Ocean Master, bro, that's one of the coolest fights I've seen in a while. I thought it was so cool. Also, when he finally got his classic orange and green suit, yes. All day long, yes. It looks so cool. It's proof that if you can pull off a bright orange and green superhero costume, you can pull off 99.9% of all superhero costumes. I was just geeking out really hard to see this OG Aquaman suit on the big screen, and it looks so good. I actually think Jason Momoa in the classic Aquaman suit is one of the coolest looking superheroes in live action movies. Momoa in general is just a ton of fun as Aquaman, and he's really likable. Amber Heard was good as Mera, and she looked ripped right from the comics, and I thought it was really fitting that she was the final push Aquaman needed to live up to his birthright. Plus, seeing her power set on the big screen being able to manipulate water was awesome. Ocean Master was a great villain. I love Patrick Wilson in general. As a lot of you may know, he was also Night Owl on Watchmen, and I thought he did a really good job with Ocean Master, and his reasoning for why he hated the surface world was basically taken right from the comics, which you guys know I love. Obviously, those are just the 3 main characters, but in general, I thought every character served their purpose and was portrayed well. Especially Dolph Lundgren as King Nereus. I did not expect to like him as much as I did. The movie also looked really good, although at times the green screen could be a little wonky, but overall, I think they pulled off the underwater vibe very well. The way they talk and move underwater I thought is cool. All that stuff was just good. The action in this movie is also epic. The fight scene with Black Manta and Arthur was so good. Black Manta looked ripped right from the comics, and all his tech looked dope. You really got the vibe like, oh, okay, he is a threat for Aquaman. I just wish he was in the movie more because he's not in it that much. They basically just set him up for future Aquaman movies. The movie also has a good amount of comedy. There was a few moments where I was laughing pretty dang hard, especially this one scene that takes place in a bar. Gold. But yes, I did enjoy this movie. It definitely has its share of problems, but it's still fun nonetheless. And as a die-hard comic book fan and not a movie critic, it's just cool to see that we have a good live-action Aquaman. I think the more Momoa plays him, the better he's gonna become. With that said, I would have liked to see this movie and the DCEU in general have some sort of plan going forward, like an end goal, Right now, they're just kind of doing superhero movies and hoping people like them. So even though all these movies are technically connected, it doesn't feel like they have a set direction. I mean, 5 years from now, let's say, it would be cool if it was all leading to the Darkseid War. That would be incredible, but they don't have things like that. They're just throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just trying to fix their individual characters in their solo movies first, and then when they figure all of that out, they'll set an end goal in place. As for Aquaman, if you're a DC fan or just love superhero movies in general, I definitely say go see it. It's a lot of fun and one of the better DCEU movies in my opinion. For me, I think it's right under Wonder Woman, which is my favorite one thus far. But I will say Shazam looks incredible, and if the movie is anything like the trailer, that's going to be one of my favorite superhero movies in general. If DC nails that, it looks like we're finally on a steady incline going forward. And that's going to bring another episode of Variant to a close, but I want to say one more time from me and the whole Variant team, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Also, be sure to check out our social media. Links for all that is in the description below, but I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.